Good evening. In the series of Achieving Sustainable Development Goals and Going to Moon, Mars, and Beyond, we have come to the stage where we are going to discuss Sustainable Development Goals 8, SDG 8. Okay, so what is SDG 8? It talks about sustainable global economic growth, sustainable global economic growth, and quality jobs for all. That is the crux of that. And then we'll discuss what are the post-pandemic corrections and how to achieve SDG and how to go to moon, Mars and beyond as usual. Okay, so let us see first. As usual, since SDG 1 to 7, we saw what are the problems that were either created or been aggravated due to pandemic. Okay, as per SDG report 2021, which is on the United Nations website. First point is, globally almost 255 million full-time jobs were lost, and that is 4 times more than economic slowdown that happened between 2007, 8, and 9. Second point, to come back to 2.2 growth of global real GDP per capita, that is almost early to 2019 standards. It will take 2023, 2023 economic. The economies will have to see 2023 to come up to that level because of lockdown. The global economies they fell down almost 4.4% negative growth. So 4.4% negative growth and 2.2% positive growth. It is 6.6 growth is required. It could be, V shape, U shape, or vertical growth. We don't know, but it will take time. Point number three, 1.6 billion workers attached to informal economy, having no social security, has no earning sources during pandemic as they were living hand to mouth throughout their lives. Fourth point, tourism got totally devastated due to lockdown during pandemic. You might have seen a lot of aeroplanes stranded over the airports, trains stranded in the railway stations, buses and taxis stranded into their stands. Okay. In place of 2019, 1.5 billion people travel across the globe, but in 2020, only 381 million traveled. And to come back to that peak, 1.5 billion again, it might take 2025. Fifth problem, pandemic has led 31.1 young women and 14% young men unemployed. It could go into billions. Maybe many will not be able to attend higher studies because they couldn't pay their tuition fees. If some waivers or some considerations are there, it's okay. Otherwise, it's difficult. So we need to be conscious here after, and especially, while dealing with the young generation, we should be kind, conscious, and considerate as well. Due to lack of funds at home, many youngies will lose education. Already I said, even they might lose training, they might lose, the track of what they were doing according to UN Stats website SDG 2021 reports. Seventh point, in our own survey, we carried out a survey in primary, among the primary teachers, secondary teachers, high school teachers, and university and institutions, college level teachers. 100% private institution teachers and employees in those institutions were affected 100%. They were getting less salary because kids were not being able to pay the fees or something like that. Many of the people got thrown into poverty, below poverty line as well. In fact, someone said, I don't have the proof of that, 80% middle class people fell down below poverty line. I mean, lower middle class in many countries. Point number 8. When visited to certain housing loan companies, I have experienced this one. One of the branch, they have 1,000 people paying the EMI. So out of them, 80% couldn't pay their EMI, except who were the 20%? They were government employees mainly, or big business owners. Point number 9. Hence, the course correction is required. Simple, humble suggestion. Now, what are SDG 8? Let us start. The SDG 8 and the targets and indicators. As per the UN, SDG 8 talks about achieving sustained and inclusive economic growth. All inclusive. Which gender, which this, which that. No. That provides decent and productive employment to all. Now, what are the targets and indicators? Let us see. Target 8.1, achieving at least 7% GDP growth per annum in the least developed states, especially, so that 7% is not a magic figure that you think or me think, I'm thinking or something. No, it is not a magic figure. It is thought out process. That if we have 7% growth, you might be knowing that insurance and investment people always say that 6% growth, 12% growth, 72% growth. If 12% growth is there, then this will happen. That kind of things are there, but it is 1% more, so that unemployment, passing down students, and all things get matched, and that's how they came to the conclusion of 7% growth. Indicator 8.1.1, annual growth rate of real GDP per capita. Real GDP per capita. For example, India has 1 trillion GDP this year, and I earn $1,000, for example. Then if India next year have 1.1 trillion GDP and I earn $1,100, then it is they are going parallel. Okay, if India's GDP is 1 trillion and I'm earning 1 billion, so I'm earning 1,000th of the GDP. Okay, something like that. So it is that kind of proportion is there. Target 8.2. This has many pointers clubbed in one. First pointer is achieve higher level of productivity through diversification. If the company diversifies in this vertical, that vertical, that vertical, we call it a conglomerate. But even many nations are diversifying nowadays. Many nations like UAE has their space age program nowadays. Very good. I already said all nations should have space age program, and many companies should uh, enter into space age, not in space race. I didn't say space race. So that someone will definitely break the light barrier. Like sound barrier is there, Mach 1 speed, Mach 2 speed, like that, you know, taconic speed 1, 1.1, something like that will come. Okay. So technological upgradation and innovation, next point is there. Focus on higher value added sectors. Sometimes some nations have tourism as the major source of income. That one. Somebody has Swiss watches is there. In India, agriculture, then agriculture, something like that. Inclusive focus also on labor intensive sectors. India, China, they have huge population. So inclusive focus has to be there. Not you cannot say that my company will have all the robots doing the job. No, even labor intensive sectors has to be there in each nation. Indicator 8.2.1, annual growth rate of GDP per employed person. That is the annual growth. What about the unemployed person? That point comes next. Okay, so you just note it down that this point is coming next. But at the same time, it is certain that it needs the course correction as well. Okay, next. Target 8.3, promoting development oriented policies, which has a lot of job creating fundamentals clubbed together over here. I mean, which has, I hope you understand. Okay, the promoting development oriented policy, talking about the nation, that policies should be as such that they generate jobs, and not only job but decent jobs. Entrepreneurship development has to be there, R&D and creativity and innovation has to be there. Formal sectors has to come up. Helping growth of micro, small and medium enterprises should also be there. All these distinct departments are there in India. Ministry of uh, Commerce, and I hope you understand, Ministry of Commerce, in fact. So, MSME department is there, then R&D department is, entrepreneurship development is there. Okay, then mentorship of business has to also be there, and then helping through financial services has to be there. So all these things, they have clubbed together over here in target 8.3. What are the indicators? Indicator 8.3.1, proportion of informal employment in non-agriculture sector employment by gender. In non-agriculture sector, how many men are employed? Men employed by non-agriculture sector, women and all. I mean, so many distinct parameters you get. Target 8.4, by 2030, stopping environmental degradation. Following 10-year framework on sustainable consumption and production, developed countries should take the lead. That is the point. Now, not only carbon footprint, but SDG talks about even material footprint. It is important here. Indicator, material footprint. First, second, material footprint per capita and material footprint per GDP, so that Mother Earth remains livable forever. We should not eat everything so that nothing is left for the next generation. Simple. Indicator 8.4.2, domestic material consumption. Domestic material consumption per capita and domestic material consumption per GDP. Okay, target 8.4. Now, we'll see target 8.5. Achieving full productive inclusive employment, meaning, you know, even for a person with disabilities or anyone, inclusive, ladies, gent, this, that, a younger, old, this country, that country, vulnerable, non-vulnerable, every lot of things, with principle of equal pay for equal work for equal value, irrespective of their genders. Okay, what are the indicators? Average hourly income in any occupation by gender and for person with disabilities. Hourly income, maybe $100 per hour, $10 per hour, something like that. And if irrespective of gender or whatever, it should be like that. Equal work, equal value, equal pay. 8.5.2 indicator is unemployment rate by gender and person with disability. Then how many men are unemployed, how many disabled people are unemployed. That is the rate. Target 8.6, by 2020, reducing the youth unemployment not in education or under, in even in training and in certain skill to get a job, or for entrepreneurship venture, but for, whatever the background is required, reducing the youth unemployment. That is very important. What are the indicators? 8.6.1, proportion of youth lying between age 15 to 24 years not in employment, education or training. 15 to 24 are called youth, and They are not in employment, they are not even learning, and they are not even getting training. Means they are lying idle, they mean to say. That has to reduce. They are wasting time, that has to reduce. They are spending time in non positive activities, that has to reduce. Simple and straight. This needs course correction definitely, because unemployment is the biggest problem at present. Target 8.7, eradicating child labor and exploitation, irrespective of their gender and exploit kind of exploitation. By 2025, it has to come to zero is the target. And it is alarming situation that if due to pandemic and lockdown, uh, their parents couldn't earn, so children are wandering on the streets. Just we have to look out that some children are begging on the streets. It's a very good point. So by using SIN card, security insurance number, unique ID, Aadhaar in India, citizenship card, we should keep a positive track on these people. Let us try to make 12th grader as the basic minimum literate criteria, so that I already said that this will solve problem of if we keep the track on the children of negativity going to the bad hands, and all those things can be avoided. Even child marriage can be avoided, we saw in the last SDG. Now indicator 8.7.1, proportion and number of children aged between 5 to 17 years engaged in exploitative work by gender and age. Exploitative work. Target 8.8, protecting labor rights to local and migrant workers and promoting and providing safe and secure environment to every worker, especially working in unsafe, precarious work and irrespective of their gender again. Okay? So we should not discriminate straight away. Equal pay, equal rights, equal value. Simple. Now indicator 8.8.1. If they are working in hazardous places, then definitely fatal injuries out of 100,000, non-fatal injuries out of 100,000, by gender status and by migrant worker status. All the ratios are taken. Now indicator 8.8.2, level of national level of compliance of labor rights by gender and migrant workers and all this. Whatever is the law has to be implemented first national, and then whether they match with the international labor organization compliance or not, that also has to be followed. Target 8.9, by 2030, devising a plan that helps growth in tourism, because tourism provides a lot of employment. And if local products are promoted, culture is promoted, then there is a huge supply chain behind the product. If some product is sold here, then somewhere it is manufactured. uh, they are providing sub vendors and all those things. The whole supply chain is there, logistic and supply chain. So indicator 8.9.1, tourism direct or tourism related GDP by total GDP, and this growth should be there in this ratio every year. This needs a course correction again, I say, because you might have seen almost 1.5 billion people who were traveling in 2019 start, and they are 330 million are traveling. It means a huge reduction. Okay. Target 8.10, banking and insurance services should reach at grassroots level and hence strengthening the local banking and financial institution. I feel ashamed about this, that 100 years the banks are there, but they couldn't reach at grassroots level, whereas cell phone they reached at grassroots level within 10 years. So we need to think whether it is ethical whatever we are doing or not in our life. At the end of the day, we are going to contribute, we will live, we'll let others live, and we are going to live. LEAVE. LIV, we are living here, we are going to live, we just contribute. That is my request. Now, what is the indicator? Number of ATM, automated teller machines, per thousand adults. Okay, and number of commercial bank and branches per 100,000 adults. For example, in India, Indian Postal Bank, India Post started bank, so there are 150,000 places in India. State Bank has more than 10,000 ATMs. So there are many countries where, for example, a bank is there, and at many countries their ATMs and branches could be there. But this Indian Postal Bank itself has 150 branches in their each post office. That is one of the biggest. Okay, go ahead. Let us go ahead. Indicator 8.10.2. Proportion of adults age between 15, not between 15 onward years, holding bank account or holding account with a mobile money service provider, maybe GPay or whatever. Target 8.8, increased aid for trade support for developing countries, including enhanced trade related technical assistance to least developed countries. You might have heard about US aid. This aid, that is the support, aid for trade commitment and disbursement, that is the indicator. They promised 100 million, they have given 100 million, then 100% has been disbursed. Target 8.B, by 2020, developing and operationalizing the strategy for the youth employment and implementation of Global Jobs Pact as per the ILO, International Labour Organization. I hope everybody knows about Washington. I got it is in the education field. That my degree I earned in, suppose, Bombay University, Pune University, Nagpur University, Bombay, Delhi, Chennai University. They will be at par with any universities in USA or Europe. Now, similar things they are trying to bring over here. That a youth is employable here, then he is employable if he has the skills, education, and soft and hard skill. He can be employed here as well. Let me request you to please contribute to the social cause, for sustainable development. Let us live, again I say, and leave this place, LAVE, a better place to live for the next generation. That's all I can say. Let us try to achieve sustainable development goals, and let us go to Moon, Mars, and beyond. When we have a contact with the uh, people from other places other than Mother Earth, and we have reached at certain level, we can face them confidently. And hence this basic requirement is required. If you have any suggestions, please come up. Thank you very much, and let us see you on SDG 9 in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye for now.